Hello, hello. I hope you guys can hear me, and we've started the session, have we? Would like to know your feedback on chat. I guess we have started the session. I, for one, am extremely excited to have this conversation with Rasika Shekar. Almost about 10 years ago, I first saw her at a concert, and I was awestruck by how insanely talented this person was. And then kept attending a lot of concerts of various artists and kept finding her there. And it was an insane experience. Just trying to find out whether Rasika's in already or not. Yes, I can see her. Just trying to invite her for the conversation. In the meanwhile, we do have. If you guys have any issues with video, sound, you guys wondering about something, please go ahead and write down in the chat box. I am Mangalam Maloo. For those who may not know me, I work for CNBC TV 18. My day job is to talk about the stock markets. We track the financial space, all of that. But what I actually love doing the most is listening to music, playing the keyboards. I've been doing that for way, way longer than I can remember. And just being in the company of musicians discussing art and music and a lot of all the inspiration that these guys get it from. Because you can be a rich person, you can be a lucky person, you can be everything, but for you to be good at music, what you require is serious discipline. That is something you cannot buy off. That is something you cannot cheat your way through. That is most definitely not something that comes to you as a genetic gift. Of course, you can have some sort of talent, but for you to be doing very, very well at the topmost level, you have to really, really work very hard, and that is something that makes me so attracted to this profession and people who practice this vocation as their overall life goal, because it's not really an easy life until you make it. And even when you do make it, you still have to keep honing your skill. And that's what excites me about all these musicians. I'm just trying to get Rasika in. Is Rasika in? Just hang it there for a session. In the meanwhile, what I'll do is I'll just put on a chord so that you guys don't get bored. Now that rhymed. Put on a chord so that you guys. Okay, there you have it.
Hello!
Hello! We just build up the drama for you, the
I
music and all of
love
that and stuff here.
I love the intro. Thank you. I'm sorry for the little bit of delay. I was figuring
No,
out
that's absolutely
how to
fine.
come in. There was a bit of a thing.
Same here, same here, same here.
Hi, so good to chat with you finally. After so
Yes, we've
long.
been trying to do that for so long and across so many different platforms. So I think it was meant to be on LivDemy, and that's exactly what
I
happened, I
know, I
guess.
know. I'm glad. I'm glad. Well, hello everyone. Thank you for being here and waiting. I'm gonna keep looking up and down because there's a nice camera up there.
Oh, that's absolutely fine.
There,
Do
so
you have your flute handy?
I do. I do.
Perfect. That's exactly what we needed. But just lovely. That actually is the first thing that I always wonder, because I remember seeing you at an SEL concert about 10 years ago, where there was a person who came who sang, and I was like, hey, this is such a cool singer and all that and stuff, because SEL would travel with a lot of amazing, amazing female vocalists. You had, I think, for the longest time there was Anusha. There would be Shweta Pandit doing a couple of gigs with them as well. Then there was I can't remember the name. A handful of them actually, Akriti Kakkar
Aditi
and
was
all of them as
there.
well.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So then you came by, and I was like, okay, yeah, yet another great singer that SEL has gotten on their gigs. And then you came, started playing the flute, and that actually was the thing that really struck me, because what I remember of flautists is that in India, perhaps world over, it's been such a male dominated profession in the sense that one, there aren't a lot of female musicians, but the kinds that are there, they're all vocalists. You've heard of the greatest female vocalists in India. Not so much as far as instrumentalists are concerned. Even in the contemporary world, I can only think of at best Anushka Shankar who plays the sitar. Flautists, not so many. So what attracted you to the flute?
Uh, I wish I could say one, just one thing, but I think it's just the simplicity of it, honestly.
Hmm.
I found a flute that was in my aunt's place when I was about 7 or 8,
Wow.
I remember, and it was very cool to sort of pose with it, for Janmashtami. So that was the that was the first thing I found fascinating, that I could kind of like pose like I'm Krishna and take pictures and all that. First memory, but then as I sort of started learning it, I found the simplicity of it, because it's just this. It's a bamboo,
Yeah.
thing, like really well carved, and that's it. And there's nothing else to it, and it can do amazing things. So that's what fascinated me about it. And the more I started learning, um, I realized that there's a world. There's really a world in this, and it's when I play it, I feel very connected to it, because also being a vocalist, it's something that
Hmm.
something that, like, it's breath and voice,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
connected. And so it's that, in that sense, it was very similar to me for me. And maybe
I
that.
hear you. I hear you. It's
Yeah,
it's extremely intuitive for a vocalist and a flautist to come together. And at
yeah,
the end of the day, I think a fair amount of that therapeutic, meditative feel also comes from the fact that it is breath at the end of the day that you're controlling, channeling
yeah.
into those holes. You first learned Carnatic music, is that correct?
Yeah, yes.
And then went on to Hindustani. Was this by choice or because it just happened organically because you came from a family, your grandmother was a legendary violinist, and you were not in India? Usually, what happens is that people who are not in India, they try to find their connect using the Indian music and all of that and stuff. So,
Yeah.
was that how it all started?
So how the music journey started, you saying? Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
the music journey learning. Yeah.
yeah, I come from a like a Tambram family, and
Hmm.
it's sort of like this unsaid thing that you just end up learning in art on the side, whether it's dance or music or an instrument. And my mother plays the veena, my grandmother is a violinist, and
Right.
my aunt sings. So my parents were like, okay, just go learn from your aunt.
Just yeah.
And I was blessed to have that resource, very close by. So that's honestly how it started. It was just to learn Carnatic music, and then when we moved to the US, I started learning flute from my guru there. My mom had met my guru at this event, and they started talking, and she said, I teach flute, I teach veena, I teach vocals, and then my mother remembered that I probably said something about the flute when I was young, and she's like, "You want to learn?" And that's pretty much how it started. I didn't know where it was
So
going or what was happening after that, but I used to very, like a good girl, go to class every week, and then practice, compete in some like local competitions, and play. Every weekend we were playing in some events or some local um, uh, organizations, or like you have, I don't know, Diwali, or you have some
yeah,
sort of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
something.
Pretty
So
the pretty NRI thing to do
yeah,
actually come together on all the festivals and all of that stuff.
right,
But again, this brings me back to the fact that you were not in India.
yeah,
You born in Dubai, go all the way. I mean, being brought up in New Jersey and all of that and stuff.
yeah.
You are exposed to a lot of world music as well, or were you not? Because I mean, for a person to start learning Carnatic music may not perhaps be one of the most favorite things that a child would do because it's
Yeah.
not typically cool.
Hmm. Yeah. So interestingly, there's a very, very strong Carnatic community in the US, and
Okay.
I grew up in the East Coast, also an amazing, huge, very passionate Carnatic
Hmm.
music community. And to answer your question of whether I was exposed to a lot of world music, honestly, no. I
Okay.
grew up pretty much falling in love with Carnatic music, and only knowing
Okay.
Carnatic music, and I was only listening to Carnatic music. So it's kind of strange, because now that I think about it, and I'm like, I grew up in the US, and how did I not get exposed to, all that?
Right.
Maybe I was exposed. I probably just didn't dig into it very, deep enough. But I think that's because Carnatic music was such a big part of my life, and there's just so much in Carnatic music that I didn't feel the need at that point to explore anything. Like I was so fascinated by Carnatic music, and I think the influence or the exposure to world music and everything else came later on when I was in college. It started with ghazals, and then interestingly, when I came to India, is when I started listening to jazz, pop, rock.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I think in that
You
sense.
go, you stay all the way in the US, come back to India, and that's when you discover the music that you left back
Yeah,
home.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. Because
So,
in the US, we're kind of like holding on to this our culture and everything that we know very tightly.
right,
So,
right, absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
No, that's interesting because in the latter part of your life, currently you more than made up for all that you missed in terms of world influence in the first
Yeah,
few years.
yeah,
But were you a family that started the day with the Vishnu Sahasranam and
yeah,
what
yeah.
is that, Venkateshwara Suprabhatam?
Yeah, absolutely. It was either that or like Tamil film songs running in the house, like the home.
Oh,
It was
lovely.
pretty
So,
much.
what were the first few things that you learned on the flute and you thought that was really cool? What was your show off thing as a child? Can you play that?
Um, I what did I learn?
I can give you a pat behind. Just give me the chord.
Okay, so my teacher actually my guru actually felt I could learn like kritis, which are
Okay.
proper songs. So I actually didn't do the proper basics and everything up until then.
Gamakas and all of that and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So the first thing I learned was actually a song, and I learned the song. It's in Mohanam, Ragam Mohanam, which is Rag Bhupali, and it goes like
Right.
this. But I can play like a very ad-libish version if you want to give me pads or something.
Go for it. Go for it.
All right.
Which one do you want?
So I'm just
Uh,
playing D major, and then you can probably just follow.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was his first song that I learned, and yeah, I don't know if it was like a show off thing, but
Well, that was pretty cool. I mean, if I knew that now, I would have showed it off. So back in the day, it probably was one of the coolest moves. So
yeah.
then you came back to India. When was that?
I was born in Dubai and I moved to the US. So the
Yeah,
first
then we
time
moved
that
to US.
I sort of came to live in India was the first 6 months. It was in right after my engineering.
Okay.
Yeah, 2000.
So yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Let's talk about that. Chemical engineering. I mean, because you learned music all the way, and was the chemical engineering also a Tambram move?
No, no, it was not. I was actually a big fan of engineering. I loved maths.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I just loved the concept of engineering. So that's why I decided to be an engineer.
So
And
there
yeah,
goes down the drain. All those lazy people who say that we're creative people, we don't care about the numbers, this, that, and all that.
yeah.
You have an example right in front of you who is amazing at math, who's a chemical engineer no less, and is very very good. Not just at the flute, she's great at the keyboards as well. She understands jazz, flamenco. You have Hindustani, does ghazals. So I think you're like 8 or 9 people in one person.
That's really sweet. It's overwhelming also. No.
But that's what you are. I mean, it's just the basic facts that I spoke about.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I, I don't know if this is. Usually, people say you need to have the certain plan and you need to know where you're going. And I've kind of been the opposite. I just went with what I felt the most fascinating at that point of time, and just sank into it, like just surrendered to that process. So if I was like, okay, I want to be an engineer. I know I'm going to only do chemical. I don't like any of the other streams. And I just, went right to it. And then, yeah, so there was no really any plan. My only thing was to dig deep into whatever I was doing, pretty much. So,
And you have dug not only deep, but you've also dug broad.
broad,
So
yeah, yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah.
But just wanted to understand how do you then decide after your engineering that okay, this is not good enough for me. I'm enjoying music a lot more. What was that transition like? And was it a moment where you got a handful of professional gigs, and that's what made you make that decision easily, or I don't know how did that happen?
Yeah, so I didn't think about like, oh, I need to make music as a career because I didn't know what that meant. Like,
Right.
I didn't have anyone who was a full out professional musician in my family or in my friend circle or anything. But I was doing a couple of performances when I was in college, and I was regularly performing over the weekends, and I got a sense of what it felt like to be on stage, and that
Right.
fascinated me a lot. On top of that, like having come from a Carnatic background and starting to sing ghazals, I felt like I needed to go and learn Hindustani music because I wanted to understand the
Yeah.
nuances of that and not only sort of listen
Right.
to it, but also like train properly so that I can I can understand maybe ghazals further. That was my whole thing. So I actually came to India just to learn Hindustani music. I didn't really have a plan of, you know, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want to do. It wasn't.
And the parents were supportive.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very blessed like that. They were very supportive because I did tell them that this is going to be like a few months. I'm just going to go. I'm learning. I'm coming back. I'll look for a job. I'll work as a chemical engineer. That was a plan.
What
Actually.
year was this?
This was the plan. Yeah.
No, what year was this?
Oh, this was 2011, 12, 11, I think.
So it's
Yeah.
been almost 10 years and you
10
haven't gone
years.
back.
Yeah. No, yeah. 10 years.
Lovely.
Yeah.
How's that for a 10-year challenge on social media?
Yeah. 10 years. And music has been very kind to me. So, yeah.
You've been phenomenal at it. You've been a great servant to
Thank you.
music itself. So,
Thank you.
what was the first ghazal that you learned, and who was it from?
I,
You have to sing.
yeah, I heard this ghazal in my car called "Main Hosh Mein Tha" by Mehdi Hasan Saab, and then
Okay.
that's it. That changed my life pretty much. So it goes like this. मैं होश में था तो फिर उस पे मर गया कैसे ये जहर मेरे लहू में उतर गया कैसे मैं होश में था कुछ उसके दिल में लगावट जरूर थी वरना कुछ उसके दिल में लगावट जरूर थी वरना कुछ उसके दिल में लगावट जरूर थी वरना वो मेरा हाथ वो मेरा हाथ वो मेरा हाथ वो मेरा हाथ दबा कर गुजर गया कैसे ये जहर मेरे लहू में उतर गया कैसे मैं होश में था. That was a ghazal that I first heard in the car in that CD, and
Wow.
yeah, it changed my life. Really did.
By the way, has someone told you this that I mean, being a flautist and being a vocalist together works so well for you? Because there are times when when you were taking the harkat and all of that and stuff, I could actually imagine it being in a flute, and
Huh.
it's so intertwined. It's amazing. It's
That's
just amazing.
yeah. I have to. It's interesting because most of the people when I was growing up and beginning this part of the journey, or even now actually, most people no exaggeration, actually told me you should pick one. You cannot do both. And I guess they had a reason behind it, because the technique for both is very different, and there is a thought that it could affect your vocal chords if you
Right.
play,
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
a wind instrument pretty much. And I did go through most of that thinking, I have to pick one, I have to pick one, I have to pick one. I cannot pick one. It's really hard to pick one because I love doing both and they're very different and they're
What came first? The flute.
the vocals actually.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah, vocals came first.
So then you go ahead.
Yeah, so it was, most of them said, even a lot of well-known musicians, senior musicians, said you might have to pick one down the road, and I did battle that thought for a very, very long time, but it was really hard. So I just gave up trying to pick one.
And it's such a wonderful thing that you did. I mean, I never met you earlier, but if I did, I would have most definitely asked you to do both of them,
Okay.
because together the synergies of that are a lot more. You're not just a flautist and a vocalist. Together, you're much more than the sum of its parts. And
Yeah.
because you're so good at math, you probably know, you put a number to how much more you are than the sum of its parts as well. And Satyajit tells us in the comments that today happens to be Mehdi and Saab's birthday as well. So what a perfect tribute that you've given.
Oh wow, that's a blessing. That's amazing. I didn't realize that, but perfect. Perfect.
Me neither. Perfect either. So you come to India. How was India to you? How was the guru? And again, I'm sure you would have faced a fair amount of challenges and stuff as well. What were they like?
Challenges in India. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I don't look back and think about challenges because it's a way of I was just embracing everything. If I really had to think about it, of course, like getting used to the way people approach things here was very different from what I was
You came directly to Bombay, right?
Yeah, directly to Bombay. So, is there a network problem? Is everyone able to hear
No.
us? Okay, we're good. Okay.
A couple of people are in.
So, of course, I think the biggest challenge was to understand how people approach things here. It was kind of very different from what I was used to. However, I have to say that because music was my focus and was a bigger picture in any scenario, everything else sort of blurred out. Like I didn't feel like anything was a challenge because I think it comes down to your perspectives and what you choose to focus on. And luckily, music was there to save me in every situation. So that way, yeah, I mean, challenges were kind of just getting used to working with people here. Other than that, yeah, it's pretty okay.
So at no point did you feel negative about your choice, right? Did you question it at any point?
Yeah, as a musician, you're saying?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think this is something that every musician has questioned at some point of their time, or it comes back every now and then as well. And I probably did question it even a few weeks back, to be honest.
Really?
Now that we're in a strange time,
Right.
but maybe I questioned it earlier on. But now it's like, okay, within the musicianship, what next, kind of thing. But it's very natural to be questioning the choice, of course, because there's a lot of uncertainty in it. You kind of like carving your own path. You're sort of like walking down a new path sometimes, and there's nothing that okay, these are the ABCD steps that's going to be happening. So
and that's exactly why I ask you this question as well, because so far there's a serious amount of survivorship bias in music. We only talk about those guys who succeeded. They say, okay, the path was hard, we stuck to it, we kept doing it, we questioned ourselves at every point in time, but we then came about and something just happened. For a lot of the people who are currently entering the profession, they're doing the profession, or recent entrants, the pandemic has been extremely hard for them. So, in any case, it's a tough profession to be in. And to top that, the pandemic was even worse. So there are a lot of problems that people are facing, and which are not only financial in nature, it's mental as well, because a musician does need an outlet. So what would you say to all those people who are, recently entering, considering entering, or are facing those tough times in their lives?
I would strongly suggest them to sit down and ask themselves, Why do you want to get into this profession? What does music really mean to you? And what do you feel you can get out of music? In the, in really a way of uh, realigning yourself with what music means for you, because that's something that takes very different takes a different meaning and shape every now and then in your journey, and especially when you're beginning out, it can be something. In right now, within being in this like pandemic zone and everything,
Right.
it's good to kind of sit down and ask yourself like, why do I want to do music? And if the answer is that I love music, and music like is supposed to just change things around you. You're just supposed to feel so like strongly about it. And if you feel that way, then it's going to take care of things. I feel I because I know what it feels like to really surrender to the music. And I have seen. I mean, this is just my personal experience. Every time I've done that, I feel like it's just taken care of me. And this might be a very spiritual, philosophical,
Yeah.
I don't know,
No, no.
look to it, or way to look at it. But if your passion is enough to just that you can fall in love with it every now and then you will find a way with everything else.
And that's
But
somehow music is also,
yeah,
because the depth is unknown.
yeah,
Even if you go to the deepest of it all, you probably just scratch the surface. So
exactly.
there's so much. Yeah.
That.
I mean, for music you can be passionate. I struggle to think of any other vocation where so you can fall in love with it every day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, see, even within music, there's especially today's. There's so many other things that we have to consider. The amount of um, time that goes in social media, etc. I mean, we can. There's a lot of things and things that can derail you quickly.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to have and like kind of just. I say the word realign because it's like you're going here and there's like 10 different things and you got to realign again, and that's going to be constantly the process.
This was
So
something that actually I thought would come much later in the conversation, but now that it's come up, let's talk about that itself, because from when you started to where we are right now, there's been a sea change in the world itself. It's
absolutely.
no one's sitting and doing a long ass riyaz if you must. No one's doing a lot of things and all of that stuff. That patience has gone away from people putting in that kind of effort. The
Mhm.
patience has gone away from people listening to it.
Mhm.
And I was watching this conversation, and A.R. Rahman, no less himself, said that the joy of buying music has been taken away with a lot of the digital
Yeah.
immediate downloads. Right? He
Yeah.
said that when he was a child, he would actually go ahead to a music store,
Yes.
buy a mixtape of stuff and all of that and stuff. So when you put in that kind of effort, you already had that kind of sunk cost, and you valued what you heard a lot more than now.
Yeah.
Um, so in a situation like this, how does one maintain their center of gravity? When you keep
Mm.
talking about realign, how do
Mm.
you know that, okay, this is right, this is enough, or
Mm.
what is enough?
I don't think you'll ever know what's enough, because the
Hmm.
day you know what's enough, then you're done, right? And how do you realign and find your center of gravity? Your center of gravity is, I mean, this is again from my perspective, is that
Hmm.
your center of gravity has to be your love for music again. You just have to come back to it and, you know, just surrender to that. And I think because if you surrender to that, music has enough that it can give you, no matter what's happening around. I'm not saying you just have to forget everything else and then, but
Hmm.
that could be the anchor point. The anchor point is I still want to go back and listen to music that I love. I still want to practice and learn something that I know I want to get better at. It doesn't have to be 10 hours a day or anything, but just finding like that one piece of music, and again digging deep into that. And that can provide for a lot of positive things. And I feel like that has to be the center of gravity. Or if you look at that as your center of gravity, then you're sort of like anchoring yourself well enough to be able to take in every change that's happening in the world.
So in the world of social media, where you're just one good reel, one good piece away from instant stardom, which
Yeah.
actually changes your entire life. How do you then, uh, I don't know, how do you surrender yourself just to the music by keeping that aspect away? How do you do that?
It's hard. It's tough. But you have to ask yourself, how much am I moving away from my center of gravity then?
Right.
That you can always come back to your center of gravity. You can do that. And, our minds actually have infinite potential. So it's quite possible. It's something that I actually learned from a senior musician. It's like, how do you compartmentalize your mind? And you have a little box that says, okay, that box is for, let's say, social media or etc., whatever you have to do. And then you have to come back to your big box, which is like, okay, music, learning, I have to do this, whatever that's going to make you happy, and at the end of the day kind of disconnect from everything else. And
Does
it's
it ever happen to you? Yeah. Does it ever happen to you that when you're practicing and all of that and stuff, and there's something really cool that you do while you practice?
yeah
And does it then occur to you that, oh, wait, it's a 15-second thing that I did, which is amazing. Why don't I put it on social media, maybe get some likes and all of that, feel
yeah
amazing about myself and all of that
yes,
and stuff?
definitely. I've done both of it. So there have been times where I've played something and I said, I haven't posted something in a long time, so let me quickly, pull it up 15 seconds at least. I'll put it. Let me put it out there so people have.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And the thing is, like, a lot of people show a lot of interest in content that I have to put out or something, and they sort of wait for it, and it makes me feel really, really. I feel like I have something to offer that could probably bring a smile to someone's face, and I'm in a very blessed position when I should do that, right? So that's the thought process. So I have done that. It's not for instant gratification. It's more about
Okay.
offering. It's more
All
about,
right.
I have some music, let me share it with you, because that's something I can offer, you know and that's something I can share. And if that's something you enjoy, then I'm in a blessed position to be able to do that. And I'm very clear about that perspective. It's not about, oh, let me see, if I can, today I can hit 2,000 likes, or tomorrow I should be able to hit 2,500 likes. That is that's a scary thought process, I feel.
Yeah.
That's scary, because that 2,500s, what does that even mean? Like, literally, tomorrow or in a week, you might be 3,000, then you'll be like at 3,500. And then, and I went through this. I've been there. I did go through this thought process, and I caught myself and I said, wait a minute. So I have spent an hour of my practice trying to get that perfect 15 seconds out.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then I was like, oh my God, I didn't even practice. Like, all I'm doing is setting the light up and, getting that right 15 seconds. And I'm like, that's not what, that's not who I am. And that's not what I want to show out in social media. I'm okay to say, you know what, I made a mistake during my practice time. Everyone makes a mistake during. That's what practice is. You try something new, you don't get it. You try it again. You try it again. You don't get it. You try it again another 10 times. That vulnerable aspect is something that I feel is lacking in social media, and I feel comfortable putting it out there. And so when I reached this point of view, I felt so much at ease, to be honest. I felt like, really, like, okay, it's cool, and that took that little, like, weird pressure off. So now when I actually put it, I know, okay, I'm done with my practice. I have focused on my practice for about 45 minutes or an hour, and then I have whatever next half an hour to just do for social media. That
So
took
after every practice, yeah, please go ahead.
I was just saying that took some time, because I also did go through that thought process, like, oh, I have to immediately put something up. And I had to take a pause and ask myself, is, if I keep doing this every day, like, what is my practice then? Will I ever get better?
Wow, that's actually just gold dust for everyone who's probably listening in and will listen. And I hope this goes as viral as the Shankar Mahadevan and your flute playing video goes as well, because it puts so many things into perspective. That's primarily because if you practice for an hour for just those 15 seconds, you've actually not practiced at all. And
Yeah.
one should not feel that the practice session is wasted because at the end of it you did not get those 15 seconds for social media. That usually is a byproduct. Never put that cart before the horse, so to say.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal what you said. And while you spoke about offering to the world and all of that and stuff, the one 15-20 seconder I remember very clearly is the one that you did from, was that movie Kesari? You did na 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 na
Oh,
na
yeah, 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 yeah.
na 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 na.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. I distinctly remember that song.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
that's what I
in
said.
fact, it was only after listening to the flute part and I read the comments and I was like, hey, this is such a nice melody. I went back and listened to the original song, and
Oh,
that's how I discovered that song. So yeah,
oh, interesting, interesting. That's
yeah.
interesting. I didn't
So,
think of it that
so I
way.
think that's something pretty cool that you can do. Go ahead and a lot of the songs that you really like, put them out, and this is
Yeah,
that cover, so that people can go ahead and discover the original as well. Maybe
yeah,
because not everyone would have heard the kind of music that you would
right,
be hearing as well.
right.
That actually provides the perfect segue for Bollywood. When did Indian film music happen? When you start listening to it,
Yeah.
and once you started learning in India, and when you are in Bombay, of course, you can't stay away from film music. So how did those things come about?
Yeah, film music came thanks to Shankar Shankar Mahadevan ji.
Hmm.
Uh,
Where did you
what
first meet him?
I met him at this event in Chembur, I remember, and
Okay.
I just, yeah, I got a. I mean, it was very cool because I was able to actually have a conversation with him, and I told him, this is what I've been doing. I was at right before that I had actually toured with Ghulam Ali Khan Saab, so
Hmm.
that was sort of like it was like my
Ticket.
little like resume that I could, say, okay, this is what I've done, and he's like, oh, okay, and I said I've learned Carnatic music and all that. So it was a very very um, blessed evening that I was able to have that conversation, because post that conversation is when he invited me to come to the studio and try out my vocals in the behind a mic and see how it sounds. And so that happened, and Shankar Sanloy, the three of them were there, and I got to sing in front of them.
What
um,
did you sing?
I was quite it was very scary,
So,
so I walked into the studio and he said, sing anything. So the first thing that came to my mind was a ghazal,
okay.
uh, by Hariharanji, actually. And
Go for it.
so I sang this. I'll sing a few lines of that. It was,
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
one second, let me just get this right.
No, no, no problem.
बस आए ना कोई और है, मैं ख्याल हूँ किसी और का, मुझे सोचता कोई और है। सरे आईना मेरा अक्स है, बस आईना कोई और है, मैं ख्याल हूँ किसी और का. Anyway, so that was a
Those
ghazal.
guys would have been zapped by this.
Yeah, I hope so. I think so. Because
Wow.
yeah, I just went in. Because I think I was in that ghazal mind space also, because I was touring with
Hmm.
Ghulam concept. So all I was thinking of was ghazals at that point, and sang that. And then I remember Shankarji said, "Phenomenal, great. Like, do you know anything like a little faster, up tempo or something?" And honestly, I was like so nervous and I blanked out. So I was like, and he's like, "Do you know it's the time to disco?" I was like, "Yeah, I know that song." So I sang "It's the Time to Disco," and then or "Where's the Party Tonight," one of them. And then he said,
Yeah.
"Okay, can you sing something that's mid tempo?" And he's like, "Okay, do you know this song?" And I said, "Yeah, I know," because I had actually grown up in the sense,
Yeah.
spent years listening to their songs from Laksh to
Right.
Laksh,
Right.
from Dil Chahta Hai itself. And I also remember I had the CD of Hey Baby, the track,
Yeah.
the contract that they did. So I won the CD in a radio competition or something. So I had the CD in my car. So I used to like on loop listen to that album. Like, so
You'd probably be the only one who'd listen to that album on loop because
I actually love the album and the movie and everything about it. It was, and when I was listening to that album, I started noticing what are the harmonies that's being used. What
oh
are
wow,
what are
yeah.
the sort of instrumentation that's being used? What's their composing style? And that got me really thinking about things at that point. So I sang that, and then they were like, Yeah, very cool. Like, and I remember Shankarji sending me a message after that, and I still have the phone. I used to have
Wow.
this like one like dabba phone at that point of time, but I
Everyone
have
had a
the
double
phone
phone.
only because Shankar Mahadevan ji had messaged me saying some amazing things like "You're phenomenal. Get ready to work with us. You're amazing." And it was like a really, really very, very special day and a very special message that I will never forget. So that happened, and then I started touring with them. And at that point, they called me to do a song for a film called Dek Indian Circus.
Hmm.
So that was my first playback debut. It was like a Rajasthani-ish folk song.
Okay.
Um, that happened, and then multiple like films followed after that. So yeah, that's how it happened.
Wow, that's
Big.
that's quite a story actually. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just still taking in the experience of
Yeah, yeah,
having been in that studio and then Shankar
yeah.
messaging you and all that. So before that, you had traveled with toured with Ghulam Ali Khan Saab. You did that as a vocalist, or did you do that as a flautist, or did you do both on that road?
No, just as a vocalist. Yeah, I just as a vocalist.
This is a vocalist. Is there something special that you learned from that? I mean, of course, you being there is just again zapping, mind zapping if you must.
Yeah,
But what would your biggest takeaway from that be?
yeah. It was two biggest takeaways. One is to be able to uh, observe Ghulam Ali Khan Sahib in his element.
Yeah.
As a person, as a performer, as a musician, as an artist, and the humility
Hmm.
was like, and just the devotion to his art was something that I think was a very valuable lesson very early on for me.
Did you
Um,
pick up any new routine from him? Because usually this is what happens. When you work with someone who's your hero,
yeah,
you see them do a particular thing, and you're like, "Hey, this sounds like a cool thing. Let me
yeah.
just. This may help me." Did you pick up a routine,
Yeah. From him,
or from anyone?
yeah. So from Ghulam Ali Khan Sahib, he has this. Um, his, I mean, it was a very small thing, but his outfits were perfectly ironed and kept like way before the show, like right after he lands. It was
Right.
one of those. And it's a very small thing, but I realized what an amazing discipline that is,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're not like
Yeah.
waiting till the last minute before you have to get on stage and you're panicking. It's a very small thing, but it's about the discipline,
Right.
which I learned a lot from him. And he used to pray even on the flights. I remember we were sitting in the first row, and I think it was time for his prayer. So he said he would call me "bachi," or he would call me "so sweet," very sweet, like तो मैं ना मैं prayer करके आता हूँ, and he would actually go wash his hands, and
Yeah.
sit on the flight and pray. And I think it was about that discipline. It was just amazing. And
Wow.
the one thing I've learned, or one of the 100 things I've learned from Shankarji, is that even if we used to travel quite a bit with hectic schedules, and we would finish a gig at, I don't know, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and we would have to be at the airport at 4 a.m. for, traveling to the next city. And everyone would be super tired, obviously, lack of energy. You just want to, find a bed, just go to sleep. And at 4 a.m., Shankarji
Shankar
would
would
walk
be
into
like,
the airport saying, like, "Kaise hai log? Kya chal raha hai?" Like, "What's up?" That energy. It was like, wow. Like, I
you know,
wish I
I
could.
I,
And
I have this thing which is Shankar Mahadevan was the Ranveer Singh way before Ranveer Singh was Ranveer Singh because he's that guy who's always full of energy.
love it. It's so
I've
much
never
positive.
seen him down. Yeah.
Never. The
Go ahead.
positivity is like something really that, and I think it's something that you can habituate for yourself. So I have
Yeah.
actually, like, even if I'm sleepy, I walk into the airport saying, "What's up?
Smiling.
Well, I'm good.
Exactly.
I'm good.
Exactly.
I'm not sleepy at all. No." So yeah,
So you keep doing that until that becomes your
yeah.
base nature, and that's exactly what's happened with him. In fact, I was listening to one of the conversations that he was having with some people, and he had gone to record with Rahman once, and you know how it would be with Rahman. You go at 2 in the night and all of that and stuff. Apparently, he started speaking, and they recorded one track. They went on with another track. They went on with another track, and it ended up then recording around 6 tracks that particular night. And then they asked, "Weren't you tired?" He said, "No, Rahman. I'm always full of energy, and that's what I remember from back
And he's an
in those
embodiment of that.
days.
He's an embodiment in everything. Just passion for music. Passion. It's amazing, and devotion. Devotion, dedication, passion.
Wow, DDP. That's the key
Yeah.
takeaway. And Ehsan and Loy, what beautiful musicians, right?
Amazing. I've learned so much more. In fact, my first exposure to jazz actually came from Ehsan and Loy, because I
Loy.
remember at Purple Haze Studios, in the middle of some recording, we were sitting in the kitchen and I was asking them, what do you guys suggest if I want to start listening to jazz? What should I, thinking about who are the artists that I should listen to? And they helped me. They sat down with me and put a list. Like I remember Ehsan actually writing like a couple of names down for me to go home and listen to. And every gig, like I would go and bug Loy. I'm like, how do you do this? Like, what's the play in this, and why that choice of harmony and stuff like that? And then he would ask me about ragas, right? And we would have this like very interesting conversation in the middle of sound check, and those like little snippets of information would like really blow my mind, and I'd be like, wow, like,
Yeah.
how do you think in that direction? How, like, it's amazing.
It's like a power capsule that every time you take it, you get another listing.
Yeah, incredible information.
So I remember this conversation that my favorite genre of music, if someone asked me, would perhaps be live music. It could be anyone sitting on the streets and singing, or right from that to any genre that they're performing. It could be one of those thrash metal, death metal kind of concerts and all that and stuff. The fact that it's live music,
Yeah.
I think because I mean you're going there are people, the kind of energies that are there, that makes the music very special. So I've been fortunate to be visiting live venues almost every weekend before the lockdown happened, and keep watching concerts and all of that and stuff. So by doing that, you also get to know people in the scene, and you have conversations with them, and that's exactly where I saw you and met you first as well. So through that, I had a handful of conversations with Loy, and it's take away from me. There was no reason for him to be so nice. I just asked him about a few things on the jazz keyboard. He actually wrote a list of the books that I should be buying, and that would be my introduction to jazz piano as well. The only
Yeah.
thing I feel bad about is I never went on to go ahead and buy those books in practice.
Oh, well, it's never too late, and I'm sure this
Yeah.
list of books are like incredible knowledge, So yeah.
Let's talk about your time at the Berkeley School of Music. I mean, you have multiple institutions in your life. You've learned Carnatic through your childhood, then you come to Bombay, learn Hindustani, learn from no less people than SEL and Ghulam Ali Khan Saab,
Yeah.
and then you go to Berkeley School of Music. It's the Mecca.
Yeah. But yeah, very quickly, I just want to tell everyone, if they have any specific questions that I could
Yeah, please do.
answer for any sort of, I don't know, if there are flautists in the group or anyone, just musicians, anything that you
Oh,
specifically
by the way, yeah, since you
put it
speak
down,
about
and I'll
that,
quickly, would love to touch base on that. But
for
very quickly,
flautists in specific,
sorry.
flautists in specific,
No, anyone,
you also do
flautists.
a lot of. No. What I was trying to tell people is that for flautists in specific, you also do a lot of courses on LivDemy. So you can plug that in right away.
Right. So very quickly, there is a course that's going on right now. It's for intermediate flautists. It's every Wednesday, and it's the first week started last week, and then we have another 7 weeks that's about to happen. And you can still join because yes. Okay, I'm going to get to that question. But you can still join. It's only been one class. The recording's already online. We will also be starting a beginners batch on the 29th of July. And I get a lot of requests for beginners who want to pick up the flute or probably have one but have never played it before. And this is one of the rare times I said, you know what, let's do a beginners batch. So we're going to do that in a small group, maybe 4 or 5 people, just so that there's enough time for individual attention. So we're going to do that. It's going to start on 29th of July. And the other one that we're going to do is a master class, probably coming around August, on improvisation. Everything around how to approach improvisation on the flute or even on the vocals, and what it means to be an improviser. And this is for anyone who just wants to play, jam with people, jam with your friends, or understand improvisation on a more serious note. So yeah, come through, keep a lookout for stuff that we're going to be putting out, and please message us if you have any questions, and we'd be more than happy to answer them for you. So yeah, that's my plug.
All right. So go ahead. You were talking about the Berkeley School.
Berkeley, yes, Berkeley. Berkeley actually happened because you know that time where the video went viral and
Yes, that time.
yeah, so the video went
How did
viral.
that go viral? I mean, obviously you would not know, but what concert was that?
It was at GIT Belgaum, and you know, I
Okay.
have to say, for some reason, I remember that concert being very special. I don't know why. Like
Oh
before getting
wow.
on stage, I remember, and the video went viral after a year of the concert. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I remember being backstage and feeling really good energy about this. You know, I was like really pumped, and you know, getting on
Mhm.
stage, I was like, this is going to be incredible. And something about the concert really stuck apart. Sorry, I think before my laptop dies.
Yeah.
Just want to save the day. Okay, so I remember that, and anyway, so that the video went viral, and after that, like there was a lot of opportunities to do things on the flute, and I felt like, this is interesting, but I really need to expand my vocabulary. So
Mhm.
I wanted to be in a in a course that would help me expand that. And Berkeley seemed like the perfect fit because it had the master's program had a good flexible sort of a program where you could kind of navigate your own direction, and it was also happening in Spain, so that was like an added bonus. And yeah, that's how Berkeley happened. I wanted to
So
go
you
and
specialize in flamenco and jazz, is that correct?
no, so it was like it was called the contemporary performance and production. So I kind of touched upon a lot of production,
Okay.
performance. While in the program, I studied flamenco, jazz, uh, contemporary music. Like I mean, you know,
Mhm.
doing different genres, really doing your own thing as well. And yeah, it was a very very action packed, intense course.
You would have come back as a different person.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I was back as a very different person and a different musician as well. Yeah.
So you know about the video that went viral. I just have to tell people I can't not help, but every time that video comes to me till date on a regular basis, every 10, 15 days you'll get that video. Someone will send, oh, have you noticed this girl and all that and stuff. I'm like, that is Rasika Shekar. Because the sad part and the great part about the video having gone viral is that no one ever spoke about your name in that video. Everyone just says, look at this girl, she's so talented and all that and stuff. Look at this video. So that video, of course, for all the fame that it got to you, I
Yeah.
think it was still 10 times more that it could have gotten because
Yeah.
till date,
Yeah.
no one just talks about the person.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I guess yeah, that's the
I,
sad part about it. But
why don't you go ahead and once just plaster social media all over saying that every time you get this video, this
this is
is
me.
me.
This is me. This is my name. This is my.
Yeah. Put that on your Twitter bio. That girl who sings with Shankar Mahadevan. Oh, who plays the
No,
flute with
but the
Shankar
interesting
Mahadevan.
thing is, even for them to find my Twitter and my bio, they would have to know it through that video.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we would have to go to the source.
Maybe just watermark that video the next time
I
it gets
know.
it.
No, but it's very sweet because a lot of people when they do share the video and there's a lot of comments that happen on the video and like I've seen people who are like, "Who's this girl?" You know, and there will be someone who like will go and respond
Will
on it
say.
and tag my page or say she's Rasika Shekar and etc. 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 So
I've been there.
a lot of so sweet. There's a lot of sweet people out there who go and do that for me. So that's yeah, I'm grateful for that. That's good. But yeah, I mean, I hope someone the next time they're putting out that viral video, just put like, okay, this is Rasika Shekar. Go watch.
I saw you at a Papon concert as well. That was pretty cool too. That was, I think, at Hard Rock Cafe or something.
Yeah, it was like
You were
Raw
performing.
Music Day or something. Right, right, right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So now that you've learned, production and all of that and stuff, coming back from Berkeley, you did release a fair amount of singles as well. Talk about that, Yavum and the other one.
Yeah, Departure, Yabum.
Departure was in Spain. You got inspired by the music in Spain, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I wrote Departure and Uproar also in Spain, and Yabum I wrote recently last year, right before the lockdown. Um, there are just a lot of my influences coming together finally, and just yeah, just like trying to channel whatever influences are very authentic to me, and put it out there. That's about it. That was the process. Um,
And how often do you do a proper riyaz? Is it daily? How long does it go? What's your routine like? Practice routine?
yeah, I have 3 or 4 times a week where I kind of sit down and practice because
Hmm.
every week I still have lessons with my guru that I learned from,
Right.
and so yeah, approximately in a week about three times or so. Sometimes when I sit for a very long time. Like I'll sit for 2 3 hours, 4 hours. Sometimes it's an hour, 2 hours. But yeah,
You
I hope.
still do it, right? And you've been doing that even pre-lockdown when you would travel and all of that and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I would. Yeah, I would do that before. I actually did it also last year, and I have to say, weirdly, it's kind of slowed down now. Maybe because I'm actually listening to a lot more music, reading a
Hmm.
lot more. Yeah, just finding different forms of. I'm actually not playing the flute, but I study harmony, so I practice a lot of
Right.
piano. So my interest is kind of like diversified a little bit, but no doubt I obviously would go back and sit and still practice Carnatic music. That would be my go-to. Like whatever I'm
So,
practicing, I don't. Carnatic is like my go-to thing.
how has listening to music changed as you evolved as a musician yourself? I mean, I asked this question to AR as well.
Yeah.
Where being a better musician makes you a weaker listener at times because you're then always wondering, oh, what chord has he used? Is that a great harmony? Has he used the best
Yeah.
tom? Is it a great hi hat that he's used? And then
Yeah.
you get it takes away from the joy of just purely listening. Can you uh,
Yes.
uh, do that?
I'm a victim of that for sure. I before like a little before Berkeley and after that I actually stopped listening to music for a very long time because the way I used to feel about music and listening to music, especially when I was just in college or getting out of college, it was very different. It was like this. There was this pagalpan,
Hmm.
where I would enjoy it. I could tear up. I could cry. I could just feel really happy. I could feel
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
I could feel
Hmm.
goosebumps every time. And the joy that I used to feel before was very different after you kind of get analytical about things. And then you're like, why? Yeah, exactly like you said. He's like, I wonder what that chord progression is, or I wonder how the singers phrased this word, or I wonder how this trumpet player came up with that phrase. So it it happens, and it still happens. To be honest, I it's like now it's a conscious thing for me to tell myself, stop, Rasika, stop thinking, just stop thinking, just shut that side of your mind off and just let go and listen.
So
So
what?
in that sense, it's nice to have a couple of pieces of music that you just go to and remember from the past. So there's an album of Madhurani ji, which is a ghazal album, and
Mhm.
that album I only listen for joy. I don't decode it. I don't try to sing her ghazals. I don't try to learn it. I don't. I
Mhm.
just don't because I tell myself I'm not going to do that because I just want to go listen to it, feel that emotion, and really feel like I can cry. It makes
Right.
me cry every time I listen to it. So that's my go-to. There's a few albums like that I just go to without thinking.
Madhurani, we'll just take that as a list
Yeah.
of the songs that you like. And the other thing you can do actually is also go for concerts every time they happen because when you're watching, I figured this is what worked for me. Obviously, I'm nowhere close to where you guys are as far as music. Just as a hobbyist, you go to a concert and you watch them play, you stop thinking because your mind is focused on watching, and then you
Mm.
listen.
Mm.
You actually feel a lot more than you try to analyze. So that is
Mm.
a great distraction for you to go ahead and just feel the music for joy a few
Feel the
minutes.
music, right? Very interestingly, though, I am actually I always considered myself a performer first, and then now there's been a transition. It's like performer to artist now, but I always started as a performer. So whenever I go, am I did I get cut off? Something? No. Okay. All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I've always considered myself a performer. The live stage is I live for doing that. So whenever I'm watching a live concert, I'm like, okay, let me see how the stage is set up. Okay,
Oh,
I'm like, so how does this performer interact, or how is the voice being, what is the sound engineer
projected.
doing to be able to, is there a compressor on this vocals? Is there, how is the bass? It's like, I think it's double the times compared to me listening to albums. So, but
Okay, so yeah,
it
we
is,
will stick to Madhurani ji for the
yeah,
time
well,
being,
yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you're way too much of a chemical engineer to actually.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and then like yeah, and then I hear so much about sound engineering is like super interesting as well, but we'll not even go there.
that brings me to the last part of our conversation, and probably the only journalistic question, so to say. What next, Rasika? What
But
next?
I have a piece that I have to release very soon. It's another instrumental that I recorded and shot in Spain, and everything's ready. It's just is getting mixed as we
What's
speak.
it called?
It's called Poche.
Okay,
Uh,
what's it about?
it's not. I don't know. I wrote it. Yeah, I just figured there's nothing really. It's not about anything. It's whatever is up to people's interpretation. But I did write it um, when I was in Spain, and I loved the sound of the harp. So my friend and I actually sat down and we were just playing with each other. Just sort of like figuring out a couple of harmonies and stuff like that. And the sound of the harp really, really inspired me. So I was thinking, okay, if a flute had to have a conversation with that harp at that point of time, like what are the
Yeah,
melodies
yeah, 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 yeah.
that would probably, fit? So that's how it came about. And
So does it
yeah,
have a harp in the song as well?
it actually doesn't, interestingly, because
Ah,
yeah, but maybe an unplugged version later on, or like a stripped down version. But this one's like it's got drums, piano, percussions, like a
mm-hmm.
my mentor from Spain has played on it. So
Oh wow,
yeah, so and it was shot live, the video is live and everything. So we're putting that out soon. That's
that's
one.
pretty cool.
I've been working on my album finally, which
Ah,
has been very long due. So that's something I'm starting to enjoy because it's that one place where you can just sort of, it's
I'm looking forward to the album. What's it called and what's it about? Again,
it's
just
very,
everything you like.
yeah. I've kind of held back from naming it yet, or
Okay.
because the minute I put in like a sort of definition or a story behind
Yeah. Okay.
it,
Got it.
so I purposely kind of have left it open at this point in time. So we'll see how it
So
unravels.
how far are you into the album right now?
The songwriting is done in terms of uh, the melodies and stuff like that. Arrangement is what's happening right now in terms of what sounds do I really want to experiment with. How do I
Mhm.
see this coming through? What is it that I've not done before? Can I be like super experimental in the sense with in terms of sounds and
Yeah,
arrangement
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
ideas. So that's the process that I'm really looking forward to because
And you're doing the arrangements yourself, or you have people
yeah,
helping you with other stuff?
some tracks I'm doing myself. Some tracks I will be collaborating with someone because there are some things that I don't know how to do, in production
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah, yeah.
And it would be lovely to see how it shapes up when I work with someone. So it's going to be a
And
mix.
and what do you think of collaborating with other people? Because you are a live musician, you are a performer.
Yeah,
That's all about collaboration and all of that and stuff. Any
yeah.
dream collaborations that you've had?
FKJ, that would be amazing.
No.
FKJ
Wow.
is a musician I love. I love his music, love everything, and I just watched him live as well. So it's crazy. So I'm sending the signal to the universe to make it happen. So,
Whenever that happens, don't worry, we'll put it out. Even I'll put it out. The other thing is, uh, 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 any other flautists in India that you really admire, you like? Of course, you can't be saying Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia, you can't be saying Pandit Ronu Mazumdar, can't
yeah,
be saying who's the other one? There's Naveen. I love that album. Have you heard Fluid?
I have, yes. I love.
Yeah.
I don't remember the tracks exactly, but I remember feeling like,
There's this track called Mohana on that. Then he's done a very nice cover of Jia Jale as well.
uh-huh.
It's a pretty cool. You probably would
The flute
remember the
in G,
melodies.
right? You're saying,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. I mean, Naveen Ji is like, I think he's a very unique flautist because kind of brings up like he has his classical chops as well, but he's very
Yeah,
cinematic
yeah,
in
yeah.
that sense, and I I feel like there's a way that he sort of emotes through that instrument that's extremely touching. Like, I mean, technique is one, but the way he brings ideas together is crazy amazing. Like, I don't know how he does it, but it's incredible. And on top of that, he's like the sweetest, most down to
Yeah.
earth person you meet. So it's beautiful. I think his beautiful soul just comes through all that playing. So
And that,
yeah,
that actually that's what reflects as well. I think it's the most organic thing, because that also is most of these great musicians that including the likes of Hariharan ji and all of them and stuff, they're just so nice people, and that reflects in the kind of music that they do.
absolutely.
That's pretty much about it, Rasika. That's
Amazing.
all the conversation that we've had, and I just say let's keep it open, and we'll keep having more and more of these conversations as and when we do.
Definitely, definitely. It was so good because we've been planning to meet up in person, but this was great.
Yeah,
We got
this is
this
no different. In fact, had we met in person, I don't think I would have asked any other question than
questions.
what I've done.
Awesome. I'm just going to quickly, see if there's any questions that I can
Yeah.
answer. So Ram
Yeah.
Dheer asks, is there any self-help book specially made for learning flute? I am not aware of any self-help books because, I mean, there might be a couple of PDF documents online where you can kind of see, what are the positionings for different notes. But I don't know if there's anything that's specifically, I am not aware. There might be PDFs if you Google them.
Just
Uh,
go ahead and sign in for Rasika's basic flute class, and you
yeah.
learn every day.
Yeah. We have I have a good, like, there's a journey. We do a lot of classical stuff as well as a lot of ear training. So the goal is to get you guys to start listening to songs and decoding and playing your favorite tunes. So that's also what I do besides just classical music. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's about pretty much. Yeah, we spoke about the sessions, and yeah. So
So we end with you
traditional
playing.
problem of beginners, the MAPA transition. MAPA transition is a bit of challenge, but I might have to do a session with you to show you that next time, so that I can see how you played Amit Gupta. But if you can send me a message on LivDemy maybe, or a little video of you playing it, I can probably send you a couple of notes back.
Are there any exercises, basic exercises that people can do? Because I remember this, and they would do a lot of these finger exercises and all of that and stuff.
I guess, yeah. One main thing to do before you play is always stretch, just like how you do for sports. Just that I do this. And,
Right,
those like little stress balls or the
right.
thing forearms. Those help a lot, especially with each finger, just to strengthen these. Would
And what do
be
you do to build lung capacity?
play play flute.
No pranayam and all of that and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course, yoga has definitely been very helpful. Specific pranayama. I play a lot of like racket sports, whether it's tennis or squash. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
really helps
So that
my
helps in.
cardio and yeah, yeah. So, but if you're not a sports person, then yoga is amazing, amazing. Anytime.
Go ahead, play. Now that's all we want to do.
Okay, Satyajit says, talk about your Akmi workshop. Yes, workshop are talking about improvisation. So, for example, let's say you have a flute, you know how to play it, and you walk into a party or I don't know, any other musical play, and they say, play like them.
Hmm.
How do you start? What do you play? How should you play? What is the context? How do you improvise?
Hmm.
Is what we will be speaking about in the workshop. So, I'll give you a very simple thing. I'm going to improvise right now. I have not thought about what I'm going to play. I don't know where I'm going to start. Just shut my eyes and play something. So let's see what comes, and that's the fun part of improvising. Just improvised, went to
Wow.
a little taram.
I
Um,
wish that never ended.
Thank you. No, I think it's improvisation is a very good way to also release your own emotions just for yourself. It's not even sometimes about playing anywhere. It's just, in a
Yeah, yeah.
practice room, connect to music. It's a great stress buster. Just play something that's whatever's coming to your mind, and just to allow yourself to do that is a process as well. So that's something we will be covering at the improvisation workshop. So keep a lookout. We will put out dates very soon. Um, yeah,
All
last two
right.
questions. Sorry,
Hmm.
Balaji Shankar
Go.
saying daughter is 11 years old and she's learning alankaras on flute is available. Yes, if she's already playing flute and she's learning alankarams, definitely can join the course. So message us if you can give us your email or something, and we'll get in touch with you for when it's starting. Oh yeah, it is. Sorry, live
Where
demo.
can we where can we watch you perform next? Are you doing any live concert? I mean, face online.
Yeah, I think end of August something's about to happen. I'm just yet to get a confirmation of, but that's the soonest that's coming. Everything else is in October and stuff.
Hmm.
But End of August for a charity organization that will be happening. So once I get the links and stuff, I will put it on my social media, and we'll be doing a very intimate concert with my piano and flute and stuff like
Oh
that here.
wow!
So we'll keep you posted if you guys are following on social media. We'll let you know when that's happening.
And if they're not, then go ahead. You can tell them your
Oh
social
yes,
media handles as
yes.
well.
Instagram Rasika.Shaker, Facebook Rasika Shekar Music, and I am on Twitter. Kind of is also Rasika Shekar. So, but mainly on Instagram. If you can follow me, say hello. I will say hello back on message.
All right. Thank you, Rasika. This was indeed beautiful, beautiful. A great
Thanks,
Sunday
Paul. This
evening,
was
so to
really
say.
good. This was so nice and casual, and thank you for
Yep.
doing this. I had a lovely time chatting. Very, very nice, and to cover so many different topics. So, thank you.
Thank you. Let's thank everyone. See you around.
All
And we will most definitely keep doing a lot more of these conversations, not only with Rasika, we'll also get a lot more other musicians as well. And at some point, we probably get Rasika with all the other musicians, and then we have a conversation with them as well. So that's how harmonies work. Thank you so much, guys.
awesome.
We just
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.